Well, hello, everybody. My name is Kevin O'Neill. Hope you're doing all right. This is Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. It's our first episode, and I get to. I'm just putting my hand together right now because, well, you know, I want to introduce my cohort. Is it cohort? Cohort? What is it?
Co-host, I believe.
Oh, something like that. Anyway, co-host. Yeah. My co-host and my buddy for a long time, and a great personality, a great friend, Mr. Andrew Caravella. Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for him. Yes, I'm so happy.
Well, thank you for clapping. It's nice to have at least one round of applause.
That's right. One round of applause. You're the one person. I'm the one person. I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm a fan of myself as well.
So glad to have you here. Thank you for being a part of this with me, first of all, Andrew. This was kind of a collaboration idea we decided to do. Everybody's doing podcasts, and, I wanted to do a podcast with you because, of course, you work in radio, you work for NPR.
And everybody's bored right now, so why not?
Absolutely bored. It's that time. It's a sad situation, but we're trying to make the best of it. Andrew and I, actually, we were singers together, and we do we go out and do karaoke. I might as well just go ahead and say that and get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And Andrew works in radio.
Speaking of karaoke, have you joined Quarantine Karaoke on Facebook?
I have. I actually have a song on Quarantine Karaoke.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go on later tonight and take a look at it.
Did you do one?
I've done like 7.
I thought so. I've seen a couple of them. You're doing, the one I saw the other day was the one where you did. It was a dedication to the great Bill Withers.
Oh yeah, Lean on Me.
That was awesome.
That was literally like one of the first songs I ever learned to sing, like when I was a little kid. So I was sad that he died, but I mean he was 81, so I guess he lived a good life.
He lived a good life. He was a great person, and my song is I know. I mean, he had such soul. He had such feeling. He was the bomb. The great Bill Withers, just a fantastic singer.
Yeah.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. My voice is just not wanting to be clear today. So excuse me. I have pollen's in the air here, and we have allergies. I have allergies really bad sometimes, but so if I pause for a second to clear my throat, please don't be mad at me. But I like he had Lean on Me, Ain't No Sunshine When He's Gone. What were the other songs he had? He has a couple other ones, right?
Well, Lean on Me was my favorite, so that's the one I usually stick with.
My favorite is Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone. I love that song. So rest in peace, Bill Withers. You were fantastic. You brought a lot of soul to a lot of music to a lot of people. Love Bill Withers.
Oh yeah, but going back to that, like Quarantine Karaoke, there are so many interesting individuals in a group, in that Facebook group of like over 500,000 people. There's really good ones. There's not so really good ones. And then there are ones where it's like, oh, well, that's something you don't see every day.
Oh, well, the one thing about Quarantine Karaoke I like, though, is that, I see people from around the world, not just the people that have been, I know. I mean, I see people from around the world, and I kind of like sit there and go, are they good? Do they, should they have some of these guys? Actually, some of these people, I think, honestly, are better than some of the artists that have contracts today.
I know. And I've seen that.
And then, of course, there's the ones who, they sing and they're just okay for me. Of course, I've been doing karaoke now for like 5 years. In case you didn't know, I'm a karaoke host. I do karaoke shows throughout the week, and then I mean, I do like a Tuesday and Ukaipa, and I do a Thursday and Friday here in Apple Valley where I'm located, and Andrew's located in Victorville, right? Are you in Victorville?
At the moment, yes.
So, we're doing this podcast because we thought it'd be fun to do. We're not going to talk just about karaoke. We're going to talk about everything in this podcast, though. I want to be clear about that right away. We're talking about, of course, we're going to talk about karaoke. We're going to talk about entertainment. We're probably going to talk about some politics for you. We're going to talk about the current situations. And Andrew, you have things you want to talk about too as well, right?
Sometimes. And then if people decide to listen, then awesome. More power to them. I mean, it's facts. Like a lot of the stuff that I like to talk about are like facts because there's so much misinformation out there. And I work in news. So it's like, I don't get it. People are just really passionate about their lives and what they believe. But even if they're misguided, it's still how it is. Like, if somebody believes the sky is, I don't know, green, but it's really blue, that's just their truth. And you can't tell them otherwise.
I know it's kind of weird. I see a lot of misinformation out there too, and then people follow that. And I've seen the term sheep. A lot of people follow.
That's a good term.
It's what it is. It's they basically are sheep, and the basically, I want to say the media, a lot of the media are sheep herders, and a lot of people,
Yeah.
there's left media, and of course there's right media, and there's wrong media,
Yeah.
and a lot of people follow, what they believe. I mean, I get that people grew up with politics and they believe what they believe. I mean, I grew up. I'll admit it. I'm a hard Republican. People grew up that way, and where I'm from, and of course, there are Democrats where I'm from too, and I'm from New Mexico, by the way. But the thing is that so many people, some of the stuff that's just edited out there and then put on the internet it just kills me. It just drives me
Yeah.
crazy, and I just
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
See, and I have no problem on what end of the spectrum people are, whether they're right, they're left, radical right. I'm okay with that as long as they are following actual journalism. It's okay. I respect everyone's opinion on things, but what really kills me is like the screenshots of like unofficial Twitter pages or random YouTube videos of people that are clearly putting a show together in their closet, with random people calling in, and there's no way to fact check or double check what it is that they're presenting to people, and then that stuff blows up like a wildfire and it becomes viral, and it's like that's gospel for a majority of people, and that's what's scary because it's not real journalism.
It's not. And here's the thing about that too is that there is a lot of people going in there. And I mean, an example yesterday, and I saw this on your Facebook page, by the way, about President asking about, where's there some kind of injection where you can
Oh yeah,
inject,
yeah.
inject lice. That's not. People took that in the wrong light, I think. And of course, I've seen all the posts today. People posting pictures of Lysol with an inhaler, and
Oh
uh,
yeah, I saw that one.
it's just, I mean, it's funny. It is funny in a lot of ways. It's funny, but then again, sometimes you got to take some things with a grain of salt that's said in the media, and then
Right.
they explode it, and it just
Right.
becomes out of
And,
hand.
and you see that whole meme that's generating on social media right now with the inhaler with the Lysol logo on it. That's funny because that's a joke and it should only be taken as a joke. It's the people that want to argue about what was actually said and then they put their own like dialogue to it.
Right.
That's the part that it's like, oh my god. And with me, in my experience, I have a very very diverse range of friends that come from all ends of the spectrum as far as like their liberal views or their conservative views. So I really enjoy the conversations that evolve and explode on my Facebook feeds because they're engaging in stuff. And personally, and it might be a little cynical for me to say, I enjoy just putting it out there, sitting back, and then just watching it burn down.
It is.
It's it's
It's
pretty ridiculous.
it's something to watch for sure. I mean, I have friends who are very, they're very Democratic, and I have friends who are very Republican. I don't mind saying, and I love them all. I don't hate any of them. They all have their own opinions, and that's what your freedom, your right to freedom is. You have your own opinion, and you can say.
Yeah,
But
freedom of speech.
some of them take it so far that
Oh yeah.
it's just, and it's not just the one side. It's both sides. It's
Yeah.
all sides. They just take it so far sometimes, and it just drives me crazy. It's just so funny, and I have to laugh. So I try to not say too many political things. I do try to say a lot of neutral things about a lot of things because it's just, oh gosh,
And that's what you should do.
right.
Neutral is the best way because people can't argue that. I have, and I won't say who, but people that are listening to this and know me will probably know right out the gate which one of my friends this is. I have somebody who is a very super right Republican radical. I don't even think it's Republican to be honest with you. I think it's just radical. I think Republican ends somewhere and it goes off trail. And they're one of the offenders. Well, everything's a conspiracy with them. And I was trying to educate them on what fake news is. A matter of fact, on my public Facebook page, I actually have something that's called media literacy, and it's the best 8.5 minutes on how to educate yourself on proper media literacy so you don't do stupid things online. And he got so mad at me, he decided publicly on Facebook to say, well, Andrew, is this fake news? And he quoted something from I think it was Daily Wire, which is like super radical right conservative, which is fine, totally fine. I read the article and I explained to him, yes, that is journalism, even though it's way far right. And I said, but just remember, blank name here, for every time you post something from sites that are of this nature in journalism, you can't really get mad at people that are posting things from, say, MSNBC or things that are super left, because for everyone that's super left radical, you're no better than them. You're just on the other end of the spectrum.
Here's the other thing about that too. You were just mentioning about MSNBC. I see so many political statements, and I've never. Some of these websites they're getting them from are not major websites. They're just like some like
Yeah.
I don't know, man, joesrestaurant.com, or I don't know. It's just weird, and I don't get it. I mean, if you're going to go for a reliable source, and you're right winger or left winger, whatever the case is, at least go for a source that is creditable.
See, and that's the thing. Even though it's a real news outlet that's posting these stories, as long as you're media literate and you're educated on how to, research the story that's being presented, you can decide for yourself if, media outlet X is actually giving you something legit, or they were just desperate to get the story out.
And here's the thing also too, there's a lot of editing out there. A lot of these stories, basically the best thing to do, I think, is to go to the actual source. Go straight to the actual video that happened on television, or the actual statement that happened. I mean, you can find it, usually the actual, go to the actual website where, the official White House website, or the official Congress website, or whatever the official, if you have go to the official website, go to the official World Health Organization website, go to the official CDC website, and stop going to all these other websites and then just copying what they say and paste it.
That's correct. I have a way to diffuse all of that, because a lot of times my friends, most of them live in LA, will put stuff out that are in regards to California or Los Angeles, and it's, there's some stuff out there that is conspiracy-esque. And I encourage them to go look at their local city sites, government websites, mind you, or their local county websites, or their local state websites, because there really isn't an agenda on those sites. It's just news. It's just factual information with updates that they can get, but they ignore that on purpose and don't address it with me when I address it with them, because it's boring. It's not sensationalized. And I think that's what it comes down to. Everyone needs a little drama in their life. And that's why you get all the colorful scenarios that come up on all of our Facebook pages.
There is so much drama out there right now too with all this. It's just crazy. A lot of it's not even about, first of all, I want to say very quickly, I want to interject here that this podcast is not a political podcast. It's not about just one particular thing. We're going to talk about everything. We are going to talk about everything. I know a lot of podcasts are geared, like I saw Richard Redmond. Do you know who Richard Redmond is?
I don't.
Richard Redmond is the drummer for Jason Aldean, and he has a podcast. It's specifically about, he's a drum teacher. He teaches about, music, and he's very good. He does.
That's really cool.
And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about karaoke, as we did earlier, which we'll probably go back to that in just a minute. But we're not going to specifically talk about anything. This podcast is kind of all over the place, and I'm okay with that, because a lot of them are geared for one thing, and I feel like we're going to try to go for a wider audience.
Oh yeah, and on future episodes, we're going to probably have special guests that join us, via Zoom, because we're all in quarantine, and to talk about stuff. I mean, we could have book authors, we could have doctors, we could have industry professionals. It'll be a good time. It'll be a hoot and a holler.
A hoot and a holler. Yes, it will be. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad that Andrew and I, like I said before, we've talked about so many things before as friends, and he works in radio. This is where we have the common thing. I was a production director in radio for 10 years, a little over 10 years, and Highway Radio. By the way, Highway Radio was owned by the great Howard Anderson at the time. And that whole highway radio thing, if you ever heard of 98, 99, FM 98, 99, was a great station that kind of linked It actually was, it had 40,000 a mile signal. It was a huge signal.
Wow, that's pretty big.
And it covered Las Vegas and Laughlin, Nevada, and for people driving from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to go to the gaming areas. And I was a production director there. I was on the air there. It was a huge audience, a huge audience. And and Andrew, of course, he's worked in television. He's worked in,
Yeah, I was TV radio personality, had my own TV show on the old Verizon Fios service that was out there. That was fun times. It was a music video type of show. I was a internet sensation before the word viral was a thing, doing live streams. Got out of that to go into TV, music recording artist as well. For my time in LA doing acting and music, and then I migrated into doing radio. From TV personality, became a radio personality on a local NBC News radio station, actually 3 stations. From that, I ended up becoming an entertainment reporter for Rick D's in the afternoons, 5-day-a-week show. Um, and
wow, I love Rick
now
D's. Rick D's
now
are
I'm
the
in
bomb.
public. Now I'm in public media, which is supposed to be fair and balanced. So yeah, I've been around for a while. Still a voice actor, so I do voiceovers nationally and regionally from time to time when gigs come my way. So
Me too.
all I know. It's all I know.
I still do voiceovers too. I do a lot of voiceovers.
I know.
Don't make any money at it, but I still do voiceovers. That's the thing about radio. If you're going to be in radio, people, you're never going to make any money. But you have a good time. I mean, you make a living and you get to eat, but it's not really.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for the skills that I learned when I got started in radio, because not only was I a radio personality, I learned how to engineer and do board op and understand levels and what sound should sound like. It also sharpened my improv skills. I was able to run things off the fly live on the air. So they help me in everything else that I do that's audio related.
And you're doing a great job. You're great.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm impressed by what you do a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed.
I say just a lot of times.
Well.
I don't want to say all the time. But yeah, same here. I've been, I started as a kid in radio. I was 15 when I started in radio in Clovis, New Mexico, at a station called KICA, and I worked my way up.
Where is Clovis? Is that like the northern part of New Mexico?
No, it's in eastern New Mexico. It is Clovis, Portales. That's where I grew up, and it's just they're small towns. They're farming communities. Peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
Peanuts is the thing there.
That's the thing.
It's called Cacahuates. They have a road actually called Cacahuate Road, which goes from Portales to Muleshoe, Texas.
Okay.
Clovis is like 10 miles just on the Texas border, and there's all these little towns. There's like Muleshoe, and there's Farwell and Texaco, which is like Texas, New Mexico, get it? And then there's Clovis, Portales, which is in Curry County.
Wait, there's a city actually called Texaco?
Yes, it's right on the border. Texaco is on the New Mexico side, and then as you cross the state line, there's Farwell, Texas.
Oh, that's cool. It's called that. Is
there
a Texaco gas station in Texaco?
I'm sure there used to be. There's not anymore, I'm sure. I haven't been there. I was there I went for a class reunion in 2000. It's been 2 years, so this would be 2018. Okay. And it was. I didn't get to go to Texaco and Farwell, but I was in Clovis and Portales, and it was pretty. It's pretty cool. It hasn't changed a whole lot.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how like you go back to your roots and it's still the same? Nothing has changed.
It's nice to go back. I mean, there's some things that have changed. I mean, the highways have gotten a little bit better. They're not all rough and they're not too rough.
A little better infrastructure, I suppose.
But it seems so small because living here in Los Angeles area for such a long time, I go to Portales. We get to Portales and we sit up the RV and we're all sitting there in the RV and the whole bit. And then for this, and we decided to go to Clovis, and it seemed like when I was a kid, because I used to go to. I would drive from Portales to Clovis, and I worked at KICA, and it seemed like it took forever to get to Clovis. I don't know why, but I was 15. I was young driving, and it seemed like forever. It's like 17 miles. But seriously, it seemed like it took forever. But the time that I was there last time, and I drove from Portales to Clovis, it was like 5 minutes. It seemed like 5 minutes. It's weird.
I had to take a road trip a couple of years ago with my mom all the way to Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas.
Been there,
and I did not enjoy driving through Texas. That was horrible. The next time I go to Texas, I will be flying into San Antonio.
So which part did you drive through that was so horrible? Was it from El Paso to San Antonio?
It was from. Oh, yes,
See,
yes.
that road is just crazy, dude. I've been on that road. You're going once you get out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and cross into El Paso. You better stop in El Paso because there's nothing else. You're not going to see.
We were driving in the middle of nowhere. That's how bad that drive is. But I did enjoy the scenery in New Mexico. That was nice. And I did learn a valuable lesson. I will never ever complain again about driving from California to Phoenix, Arizona. I used to think that was a horrible drive. That's just down the street in my mind now after driving all the way to Corpus Christi. And then when my mom drove on the way back, I had to drive, and that killed me. Absolutely killed me. Never again.
You know, that drive from El Paso to San Antonio was just crazy. There's Fort Stockton. That's a place to stop and get gas. And if you want to stay the night there, there's a hotel. There's hotel rooms there. But there's nothing out there. I mean, there's nothing. It's just, and you can drive. The thing about Texas, you can drive 80 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour, and get where you're going right away. Or try to get where you're going. But it's a long drive, and you see miles and miles of Texas, as the song says. There's lots and lots of Texas there, and the whole bit. And you're never so glad to get to San Antonio or get to El Paso if you're heading the opposite direction, if you're heading west and getting to El Paso, because there's just nothing. There is nothing out there. The most exciting thing I ever saw, I was driving from San Antonio to El Paso, and it was cool. There was a helicopter, and the helicopter was hovering. I'm going, what is that? Why is that helicopter hovering? And there's a guy. He jumps out of the helicopter. He jumps out of the helicopter on the strap thing, and he's hanging from the helicopter. And they're flying from telephone pole to telephone pole to telephone pole. I mean, it's cool. And they're flying, and the copter is hovering over the telephone pole. He's checking all the lines and hanging from this helicopter, because I guess if you look, when you're driving between El Paso and San Antonio, there's nothing but trees. It's beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful scenery there because there's a lot of trees. But in the area, especially probably between Fort Stockton and El Paso, there's lots of tall trees and lots of bushes and things like this.
Yeah.
And there's fencing, and I think they've just taken these helicopters. This guy is sitting in this strap thing. It jumps out, hangs in this strap, and the copter guy flies to the telephone pole, and I guess the electrical pole, whatever it is, and they're checking it out, and they're hovering over it, and this guy's looking at it and doing whatever, and then they just jump from one pole to another, and he sits there and does the same thing to the next pole. I'm like, wow, that's so cool, and I wonder how much money he makes.
Just hanging in the air like that. That
would be crazy.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
But there's nothing out there. I mean, I love Texas, though. I do love Texas. There's lots of pretty places in Texas. I've been all over Texas. I lived in Amarillo, Texas. I was a disc jockey in Amarillo, Texas, and Borger, Texas. And
people tell me I need to go to northern Texas to really appreciate Texas, and I haven't done that yet.
See, the thing about northern Texas is it really northern Texas? Because you have the Texas Panhandle, which is actually a northern part of Texas too, and there's a difference between the Texas Panhandle and there's a difference between Texas Panhandle and, I want to say, northern Texas would be Dallas, Denton, Fort Worth, that area, because that's the area that goes from, it goes up into Oklahoma. Yeah, and then there's the Texas Panhandle, which is Amarillo. There's Dumas, there's Borger, there's Canyon, Texas. Amarillo and Canyon are kind of the cities together, and then when you head north, it goes into northern Oklahoma, there's a little skinny part of Oklahoma if you look at the map, and it goes into that part and then directly into Kansas. It's not very far, or you can go into eastern New Mexico from that part too. Oh, okay. Or you can go into western Oklahoma from that part. That's the square part of Texas.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, what is really northern? I mean, it's called the Texas Panhandle, and then there's northern Texas, which I guess would be the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's my assumption of Texas.
Okay, cool.
And that's your map studies for today, ladies and gentlemen.
Geography with Kevin O'Neill.
All right. So I told you we're going to talk about everything, right? So
yeah.
Anyway, but I've done DJing in those places. I was a disc jockey in Dallas-Fort Worth. I was a disc jockey in Abilene, Texas for a while. Lubbock, Texas. I've been all over Texas. I've been lucky to be as long as I've been. See, you're still a young whippersnapper.
That's what they tell me.
Today's my birthday, by the way. I'm old.
Yeah. And, I stopped having birthdays years ago.
So I've been around the block a few times. I've been all over a lot of places. I've been lucky enough to be a disc jockey in Alabama. I was a disc jockey in Memphis, Tennessee. And of course, I've been here in California now since 1996, and a disc jockey here, and it's been a good ride. I've enjoyed. I worked in
Right.
production like you. I've learned how to run them. I started as a kid working disco and discos with a guy named Phil Scott.
What's disco?
Well, that was back before your time.
Yeah.
I
What
was
is
a kid
it?
then. But the songs you hear that are played today, like Boogie Oogie Oogie, and some of these songs are
Oh,
basically
yeah, that's rock, right?
Those songs were hit songs when I was a kid.
That's not rock.
No,
Oh,
rock is different.
okay.
They only had three formats when I was a kid: country, rock, and disco. Or they actually
Disco.
they had jazz and big band and oldies back then. But now the formats are so different. There's so many. You got all these weird formats: pop CHR and pop urban and pop. It's
Oh, pop urban. That's R&B.
yeah
That's
R&B.
what that
Well,
is.
there's Churban. It was called Churban at one time.
Churban.
Yeah, CHR urban.
So is that Christian urban? Is that what
No,
that is?
no, no. CHR is contemporary hit radio.
Contemporary. Ah, okay, gotcha.
That's what it was called. CHR. When I was younger in radio, it was called CHR, contemporary hit radio. Our top 40. A lot of people, Dick Clark,
Top 40.
Dick
Yeah.
Clark, Bob Eubanks, all those guys. So I'm bringing out some old guys now. Do you know who Bob Eubanks is?
I know who he is. Yeah, he's an older guy.
Right. he did the dating game.
Yeah, that's right. Where they
I'm
kiss.
sorry, not the dating game. He did not do that. That was a different guy. He
Oh.
did the Newlywed Game.
Oh, which one is the one where they blow kisses at the end?
That's the
Is that the
dating
date?
game.
Okay.
That's the dating game.
I remember the Newlyweds. That's on that classic game show channel
Right.
where they run reruns
Right.
from before I was
all
born.
those shows are on there. You can see the dating game. You can see oh my gosh, it's Buzzer TV, right? Is that what it's called?
I think
Buzz
so.
TV.
Yeah. There's also GSN, which is Game Show Network.
Right. Those are great shows. Though I have to go back and watch Match Game. Gene Rayburn. He was actually an inspiration for me. I wanted to be a game show host at one time. I actually did apply in LA one time.
That's a good gig.
It would be great to be a game show host.
It's a steady gig.
Some of these guys today that do it are, they're okay for me.
Yeah, they're just not what they're doing more now are like the celebrities that are doing like the game show hosting, and it's not as exciting.
Right.
You got to get the right person in there to really bring the show to
Right.
life.
Like back in the day, the game show hosts were Bob Eubanks and Gene Rayburn. Of course, Pat Sajak's been around forever. He was back then.
Yeah.
So
Don't
has
forget Monty Hall.
Monty Hall, Alex Trebek. All those
Yeah.
guys are from the Bob, of course, the great who?
Bob Baker, yeah.
Not Bob Baker.
Oh,
Bob
what is it?
Barker.
Barker, that's
Bob
right.
Barker.
Bob Barker, yeah.
He had and you probably won't know this or remember this, but before he had The Price is Right, he had a show called Truth or Consequences.
I know, to tell the truth.
To tell
that
the
like
truth,
is that the same?
That wasn't Bob Barker, but yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that was to tell the truth. I don't remember who did that. And Alan Ludden, that was the other guy. He was married. He was actually Betty White's husband.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing that in her biography recently.
Right. So he was a huge game show host. God rest his soul. He was a great game show host. He was very, very cool. And he had Password, and that was
I know that one, yeah.
yeah. So, but today's game show hosts are not the same for sure. I'm not a fan of Alan Thicke, and he's doing Match Game now.
Isn't Alan Thicke dead?
Or not Alan Thicke. What's the guy's name? Baldwin. I get him and
And Baldwin.
yeah,
Okay. He's
Alec Baldwin. I get him and Alan Thicke mixed up. Is Alan Thicke dead?
He is dead. He's
Is
been
he
dead
really?
for a while.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Fun fact, there's this guy who's a little younger than me, Tyler Henry. He's a Hollywood medium, and he had Alan Thicke on an episode, and he was implying something about Alan Thicke's like heart and to take things easy. And then about a year or two later, Alan Thicke died.
Wow.
Yeah, it was of cardiac arrest.
I don't know why I don't remember that. He had that show with the show with the kid. What was that show that he had? It was an 80s show.
Oh, that was before me too. I think you're talking about he had Kirk Cameron on there,
Kirk
right?
Cameron. That was the show.
Was it Step by Step?
No, that was the one with Suzanne Summers. That's the one she had like.
Oh, I don't know. Let me Google it real quick.
Yeah, Google that stuff up.
Alan Thicke sitcom. See what comes up.
Get your facts straight.
Oh, Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. That's it. Thank you very much. There were so many of those shows, but that's sad. I actually did some Alan Thicke stuff back when I was working highway radio. him and Tanya Roberts.
Mhm.
They did this. They had this resort, and
Oh.
Alan Thicke did some of this resort stuff. I didn't realize that he had even passed. I'm sad about that.
Yeah, 2016? 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
I probably have some of those commercials laying around here in the studio too. I'm sure I do, and I'll have to go through and try to find that. I can't even remember the name of the resort now, but it was a huge resort, and the commercials. The only time I've ever worked with commercials that were 2 minutes long.
Mhm.
The commercials were 2 minutes long for that whole thing. But
Oh, really?
yeah, and Tanya Roberts or Tanya Roberts. Do you remember her?
No, I don't.
She was a Charlie's Angel.
Which one?
From the
They've
original
redone
show.
it like 12 times.
From the original show.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You're talking about the one with Cameron Diaz. Got it.
No.
No?
Talking Farrah Fawcett, baby. Farrah Fawcett
Oh,
and
yeah. the one
Jacqueline
with the hair.
Smith and the
One with the hair.
Yeah. So those were the good old days. Those were good shows. I'm showing my age today. It's my birthday, so now that we've gotten off on the that and the whole bit, you know.
You know what you can do if there's certain birthdays that you haven't celebrated in the past, like let's say you skipped like your 32nd birthday, you could just celebrate that next year.
Well, you know, I can tell you, I don't mind telling you, I'm 60 today. I'm 60
Oh
years
my
old today. You didn't know
gosh.
that, did you?
No, did you
Yeah.
ever think you'd be locked down in your house on your 60th birthday?
I never thought that. I never once thought that. And in my whole lifetime, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen, you know, many things, Vietnam War, the Desert Storm. I've seen, we saw 9/11.
I remember that.
Um,
That one I remember.
I've seen, so many disastrous things. And this is the one thing that I never thought that I would ever see, that we all have to stay home because of some virus
Yeah,
that is,
crazy.
that's out there. And
Absolutely crazy.
and here's the thing that makes me mad. And oh my
What
gosh.
grinds your gears, Kevin?
Do you want to know what makes me very mad?
I want to know what makes you very mad.
I think sometimes, again, this is a political thing, kind of left and right.
Uh-huh.
But honestly, people are going out there and going, we want our freedom. We want our time. We want to be out. We want to be able to go to businesses. I get that. I totally get that.
Well, that's because Americans are entitled, so they don't know any better.
I get that they want to have their businesses and they want to be open and they want to be, I want to go to Del Taco. And
Right?
I can go to Del Taco. I can get in the car right now and go to Del Taco down the street.
You have
Or
to wear a mask, though, when you roll down your window.
And you can go, but you have to go through the drive-through. You can't go into any stores or anything.
That's right.
And that's the thing. A lot of people don't want to wear masks.
Yeah.
They don't want to even be quarantined, which I understand that. Who wants to be quarantined? You don't want to be. You do not want to be quarantined. And I'm going to go on my soapbox for a minute. And
Yeah, go for it.
you don't want to be quarantined. You don't. And I got that. But to me, it seems selfish when you say it's taken away my freedom and my constitution and constitutional right. And maybe this will get us some listeners because this is my feeling. I feel that it's selfish to say something that is taking away your freedom and your constitutional right. And here's why. Because there's people with autoimmune disease out there, and there's people who who can get sick and die very quickly from this whole coronavirus. And there's people who can survive it. There's people that have survived it. And obviously the survival rate is higher right now than the death rate. I've seen it. You can go to CDC or Johns Hopkins University and see the actual numbers. A lot of people say the numbers are not correct. They're padded, or maybe they're not enough numbers. We don't know. Nobody knows these numbers. These numbers are not, I'm sure the numbers are not accurate. We don't know. People are saying now, people have had this in October and November and December, but we didn't get a death until January of 2020. But now they're going back and saying, well, some people have died earlier than that, or February 2020, whatever the death was. People have died earlier than that. I saw a report the other day that somebody, a lady from Santa Clara died. She
was the first.
She was evidently the first, but she was perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
And she felt sick. She had a cold. She felt like she had a cold. She was working from home. She called into work 8 o'clock in the morning, and 2 hours later, she was gone. They found her dead. So we don't know how long this virus has been here.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think to me, I think it's the right thing to stay in. Obviously, I know you have to go to work. I mean, people do have to
I
go to
do.
work.
Yeah.
So if you're going to work, that's fine. If you have an essential job, Andrew is doing NPR radio. It's kind of essential. He has to be out,
Hmm.
and he has to do this thing. I don't. I'm a production guy. It's a different thing. I don't have to be out. But I did karaoke and I did band stuff. I have a band it's called American River Band now, but it was Born Country before, and I have no work. I have none, zero, zilch, zero, nothing. And luckily we had money, some saved money, and things were good here, and I'm good. But the thing is that, gosh, how can you be so selfish? How can you be so inconsiderate of other people? How can you be to not wear a mask? Granted, it doesn't mean that you won't get the virus if you go out. But I saw people yesterday. They were protesting on Facebook. They're downtown.
Hmm.
And they're protesting that they want their freedom, they want their rights. They're wearing no masks. They're driving around their cars. They're not social distancing. They're not standing 6 feet apart from each other, and they're waving, their protests, and people are honking their horns, and I don't get it. I mean,
Yeah.
we know you want America to be normal. We know you want to go out to the restaurants
Well,
and
what's
eat.
crazy is in Asia that this is normal, and it's been
To
normal.
wear a mask. I see it all the
People wear
time.
masks. That has always been a thing overseas in like the Asian countries. Like it's nothing new. It is now new. It is now new to the rest of the world, and it's now a new thing to America. And we have a hard time adjusting to change. It is just not our thing. We can't do it. You ever stick a cat in a bathtub of water? You just picture that for a second, okay? Because that image of putting a cat inside a bathtub of water is the exact same way that Americans react to change. That's exactly how it is, and it's going to take an adjustment. Now, what's interesting to me though is this is more devastating than September 11th, and with September 11th, it was a somber, quiet, depressing time in the country, but we adapted and we adjusted. That's not the case here, not at all. And I think honestly, it attributes to the fact that social media tends to be a very dark and negative place, and because it's been part of our lives since like 2010 2011, it's just evolved. Technology has gotten bigger and more efficient and better with it, and it starts to create a more negative juju, if you will, or aura around people. And what you're seeing right now in regards to this pandemic, like you just said, the protests and everything, I think it's attributed to what people are seeing on social media. And
It,
like you said,
absolutely.
sheep, they're picking a side and they're running with it. And like a wildfire, you get enough involved, it catches on.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing that, it's oh gosh. You're talking about the cat in the thing.
In the
People,
bathtub.
yeah, it's just you're right. The difference between 9/11 and this virus though is that we still were able to drive around and go places and do things during 9/11. Were we nervous about maybe getting another attack? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go to the US bank at top of LA for the fear that a plane would come to LA and basically smash into it and do the same thing that it did at the Twin Towers. But people still drove around. People still were able to. You didn't have to worry about, giving somebody else something that could kill them. Does that make sense?
It does, but then also like you have to remember, because I remember people were just unsure of themselves. People didn't like you were more alert for quite some time when you went out, even to the store, in your small towns to go get something. Like it was just it was weird. It was the unknown, like how did
Right.
this happen to us? We're such an amazing country and so powerful. How did this happen to us? And like now it's like, wow, we can actually get something by going to the supermarket to just get groceries or something, um walking into a store just after somebody sneezed or something,
Right.
and get a virus,
Right.
and the infections and the death rates are just devastating right now.
They are
um
devastating. And then, but still, honestly, if you look at the numbers, I mean, I believe I haven't looked at the current numbers. Let me look at the current numbers right now. I know that last night there was 2 million, a little over 2 million people that had the numbers, that had the virus. The numbers that the death toll numbers were. I'm looking at it right now. I'm pulling this up right here, right now. Okay, right now, global confirmed cases 2,783,512.
Yeah, but how many of those are actually coming from the United States? It's almost about 25%.
8,000 or 800,000, 80, I'm sorry, 886,213 are in the United States.
See what I mean?
Okay, but here's the thing. Even in the United States, there is 358 million people in the United States, and 886,213 of them have the virus.
Yeah, but then you got to remember India has 1 billion people. China has 1 billion people. We only have a third of that here. And I mean, globally, that's a huge percentage for a country to have that many cases.
Right. And also the deaths here in the United States at this time are 50,780. Total recoveries, and that's the first time I've seen it over 50,000. This is the first day I've seen it. I'm just now looking at it. So I've seen it over 50,000. And I'm looking at 81,536 recoveries. So yay for the people who have recovered. I'm very happy about that because I don't want people to die. I mean, who does? Nobody wants that. In the world, 195,313 deaths and recovered 765,914. So you're looking at almost 200,000 deaths and a little over 750,000 recoveries. So the recoveries are great. I'm sad that so many people are dying, and it is devastating. It is devastating.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. But I just feel like basically if you're going to go out, wear a mask, be courteous to other people. You don't, if 2 people wear a mask, then you have even though like you said, people who's just been into the grocery store, who has just touched the groceries, who has just sneezed, and that aerosol, as they say, could still be in the air.
Right. Yeah. You see, and you don't want to have to worry about things like that. So just, take the proper precautions that have been,
absolutely
explained to us by like the CDC, the World Health Organization, et cetera. And you won't have any issues.
Exactly.
Don't listen to the news. Go look at official government sites, your state, your city, your county.
Absolutely.
Or your health or your Department of Health sites to actually get accurate information.
Actually, accurate information is the thing. Be accurate and try to be courteous to other people. Is it a test of, I actually put this on we're going to talk about religion too. I think sometimes it's a test of God. Is this a test of God? Is he testing us saying, okay, I'm going through and seeing who's selfish, and I'm going through and seeing who's compassionate? Is he doing that?
I mean, when you put it that way, I mean, it's a possibility.
I mean, we're just after Easter here. He's going through. Is he, what's he doing? I want to know. I mean, it could be, I just don't see why people can't be compassionate and considerate of others. And that's been the problem. You said entitlement about the United States. The entitlement has gotten so bad, though, Andrew, that people have become selfish with it.
Yeah. I'll give you another example of entitlement, because some people are probably out there thinking like, shame on Andrew. He's not a patriot. Where's his liberty? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. History is a funny thing. Okay. There's always that cliche or that saying, what side of history do you want to be on? Okay. If you look at countries like Japan, who was our enemy at one time, or Germany, who was our enemy at one time.
Right.
If you look through their history books, their school history books, it's very interesting how certain things that happened aren't actually in there the way that they went down. Same thing with Turkey and the Armenian genocide, I believe. It's very interesting how those events never really took place, but they did. America is no better. We just paint the picture the way we need it to look for our people to learn and understand that we're a very powerful country. We've done bad stuff. You're just not going to read about it all in the history books. Good example, in the 1800s, how did we treat the Native Americans? I'll let you guys go Google that one. I mean, we're no better. We just pick and choose what we need to put in our history books to create the dialogue we want to as a country. Then that's why I say in this country we are entitled. You have to have clarity and realize not everything we do is amazing. We do bad things too.
Okay, but on the opposite side, you got to look at this too. People are art. You're saying that we pick and choose to put what we want to in our history books. Is that why they're trying to erase history from the South? The slavery. I mean, they're taking.
I mean,
they're taking
that's another good. That's good evidence that does support what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, they're knocking down statues. I mean, Robert E. Lee, Grant, whatever the case is.
You know, it's interesting because I actually remember, God, I'm going to get this wrong. It was either North Carolina or South Carolina a few years ago. They decided to take down the Confederate flag from the Capitol. And there was actually Black people that were protesting that.
Yes.
Keep it up. And
Yes.
and to some people who don't understand how the world works or how history works, they don't get that. They don't understand that. Oh, it represents slavery, blah, blah, blah. Well, then why are Black Americans there upset that you're taking down? Because it's a part of their history.
Exactly.
Or a part of their ancestors that went through those times.
And
that's why they're there protesting. You don't want to forget your history.
Exactly.
Once you it's like, don't forget your roots, because when you lose your roots, in this case history, you start to lose yourself.
Right, exactly. And how are you going? I mean, how would you? Here's the thing: you can't erase what happened. You just can't erase it. You can't not erase. It is what it is, exactly. And the thing is, why would you want to erase it? Why would you want to? And this is what I don't understand. You don't want to erase this stuff. You simply want to keep that stuff up, and so people, the next generations, can go to these places and go, oh my gosh, this was what happened. This is so bad. Yeah. We don't ever want to do that. Let's learn from this. But that's not what they're doing. They just want to completely erase it and go, we're not. So
yeah, it's important to learn from your mistakes, because if you don't learn from those mistakes, they didn't, quote, exist. Well, what's to say it's not going to happen again?
Exactly.
One of the secrets to media, the media industry, is everything has already happened. Nothing is new. And so if you keep that in mind, and those are facts, you can look in history at that. It's just a different playing field, different people, same story. So what's to say that those things are not going to happen again, just in a different version going forward when you erase them, you know?
Exactly. And I feel that those things shouldn't be knocked down. I think, there was a statue of Saddam Hussein that got knocked down, and I know I might get a little flack for this. Should that have been knocked down as well? I mean, the Americans... well, actually, they're Iraqis. That statue got knocked down and destroyed.
Well, I mean, it was still wartime when that happened. Exactly. Things happen in wartime. Right. So, I mean, the knocking down of it is historical by that.
Right. And there's history of that in film and stuff. But, I mean, he was terrible. He was a terrible man.
But if I'm not mistaken, they had multiple statues of Saddam all over the country. I'm sure they kept a couple up. And I don't know. I've never been to Iraq.
Right. I have never either.
But I think the one that you're referring to specifically is the one that was like the downtown, like marquee of him. So I can understand why they did that specifically.
I'm not saying I'm not glad they didn't do it. I'm just saying, is it the same kind of pretense per se as we're talking about?
I think it's different. I think in that case, it's different. Like the tearing down of the Berlin Wall. Okay. There's still sections of that throughout the world. You can go and read about it. They've made monuments out of them. I think that's perfectly fine. The actual tearing down of the Berlin Wall, well, yeah, that was important to do. But again, before my time, I'm just going on what I've learned in history.
Well, I'm just saying that, I just feel, I like you. I think that we have to learn from our mistakes, and that we've made, obviously, of course, the United States has made mistakes. All countries make mistakes. We're human. Everybody makes mistakes. Every country's made mistakes. If you live in a country and you don't think you've ever made a mistake in the world, then something's wrong. I mean, everybody's made a mistake.
And the famous words of Miley Cyrus, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days.
I haven't heard that one. I have to look that up now.
Yeah, it's from her earlier years as a recording artist. goes, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days.
I'm sure she's made a few mistakes in her life. I mean, look at her. I mean,
Possibly. She has possibly made a couple wrong decisions. It is possible.
All right. Well, very good. I'm glad that we're here. And yes, we're going to try to do this, I believe, once a week.
Yeah, let's shoot for once a week. Keep people interested. You guys are more than welcome to reach out to me and Kevin on social media to give us topics, and we just might run with it.
Right. I'd like to run with some topics. Please give us some feedback. We'd love to have that.
What do you want us to talk about? We'll talk about it.
So we should probably make a web page so people can touch base with us, right?
Yeah, if we have time for that.
At least a Facebook page. I can do that.
Facebook.com/Kevin and Andrew have a podcast.
Yes, that's it. Can we get all those words in there?
I don't know. I'll have to take a look. I'll
have to check that out and see what's going on. Then you can become a fan and a friend. And please don't send us too much hate mail. It's just I don't want all the drama. Did we want all the drama?
No, I encourage it. Freedom of speech. There's something you don't agree with, you send that to us, and we just may share it on the podcast here and discuss it.
Okay, well then I guess that's the final answer there from
one
Andrew.
of the things, and anyone that's known me for a long time knows this, I'm rarely wrong about a lot of stuff. Okay?
So he says.
So if
I believe you're wrong about that, Andrew. I think you're wrong being wrong.
If you find something that I have said that is completely BS and like off my rocker, go ahead, call me out on it. Call BS, send me some information about it. I love correcting myself in a public format. Rarely happens because I'm usually right about a lot of stuff. So if you want to challenge that and try to prove me wrong about something, you send me that email. And if I find to be wrong about it, yeah, I'll admit it here.
And now I want to check. When we put the Facebook up, we're going to get like 37,000 messages, and hey, but people will be listening to us, and we can get some advertising going on here then.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
But for everybody out there, still be compassionate about things. I just think compassion is a very important thing today.
Yeah, compassion's important.
And so all of us are going through a rough time. I put a thing. We're not in the same boat. Everybody has their thing about this whole deal. I mean,
as far as the boat goes, like I'm on a yacht over here. Okay,
I sympathize. You've always been on a yacht.
I've always been on a yacht.
I have a rowboat. I can't even swim good. I'm not a very good swimmer. So if I just
wear a life vest,
I'll drown. I've got floaties. I got the little ones that come on the arms.
Oh, okay, you'll float then. That's good.
But here, the thing is that we are in the same boat. Coronavirus has no, it affects everybody. It's affecting everybody in the world, period, no matter what. There's not one person that's not affected by this.
Yeah.
But you still should have compassion for, I mean, I do understand people are wanting to work. People do need to work. People do need money. People do need to eat. People, are sick. People we need to try to have feelings and compassion for everybody right now.
Yeah, word to the wise, since he's saying, people need money. Now is the time for when this thing finally gets us to whatever the new normal is going to be. And we'll keep the new normal. We'll talk about that on another episode. But for what's going on right now, go pay attention to what businesses and what occupations are actually working, because God forbid something like this happens again. And there are talks right now of a second wave coming later this year, not to scare you, but you got to educate yourself on the facts. If this happens again, or another wave of this or something like this comes sooner than later, you want to make sure that you are in a position of some type of employment that is going to be fully accessible during this time, so you can still make your living.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that the world has changed. A lot of people are going to have to start working from home. That's why we're doing this. I think I've wanted to do a podcast for a couple of years, and I have not ever had a chance to do it. And I just never found the right partner to do it with.
I'm the right guy.
Andrew's the right guy.
I'm the right guy.
And I hope that this continues to be a great thing for us. I think it's going to be good. We're going to invite some other disc jockeys on too as well, people who've been in radio, some musicians on, and like he said, we're going to invite many people who we're going to have some great guests. That's why we want to have a guest. If you want to be a guest and you have a reason for being a guest on here, maybe you want to talk about something special, You could also you'll also be able to contact us on our Facebook page. We haven't put the Facebook page together yet. Because this is all new to us. We're just kind of we've come up with this about a couple of weeks ago and thought, man, we have the equipment, we have let's do this. And so we kind of just put it together.
Until we get that website, you can always hit us up on our other social media. Now, mine's easy. Mine, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is just On Air Andrew. One word, On Air Andrew. So facebook.com/On Air Andrew. If you go onto Twitter and type in one word, On Air Andrew, or Instagram, On Air Andrew, that's me. Follow me, send me a message, and I'll talk to Kevin to see if he feels like having you on.
And the same here. I have Kevin O'Neill Sound Labs. That's mine. Kevin O'Neal Sound Labs. That's on Facebook. It's also on Twitter.
Okay. So, you tweet. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I haven't really, honestly, Twitter kind of confuses me a little bit. I mean,
it's one of the simpler ones.
But it's the thing about it is, I don't know, maybe I need to talk to you about my settings, because I get I've seen news already that, somebody's posted, or the media's already said about 18 hours later, I'll get it on Twitter.
It's the algorithm. It's the algorithm.
Maybe I don't know, but I don't really do much on Twitter. It's best to get with me on Facebook, probably on Kevin O'Neill Sound Labs. And that's my production company. And,
okay.
You can do that if you want to, or we can set up a Twitter too, Andrew, for the Kevin O'Neill Andrew.
Well, I know it's too many characters for Twitter.
Yeah. KONAC.
KOC podcast.
Yeah, KOAC podcast or whatever.
KOAC podcast. Yeah, maybe. I'll look into it.
Or have a podcast. Something, I don't know. Yeah. We're still working it all out, but we're glad you're here, and we're glad you're listening to us. And we're going to try to do this once a week. I think we're going to try to do this about once a week.
For sure.
And I think we should sign out now, because I don't even know how long we've been talking. I don't have the timer on.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm Andrew Caravella. You're Kevin O'Neill.
That's right. Kevin O'Neill here, along with Andrew Caravella. And you are listening to Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast.
Yes, we do.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Be safe. God bless you.
Later.